Koby Altman has been a fairly busy bee up to this point in NBA free agency. Just want to start the video off by saying happy July 4th to those of you watching in the US where I reside, which according to my analytics is the vast majority of you. So happy Independence Day. I hope the food is good and that nobody mangles themselves with fireworks. Explosives aren't necessarily a thing to play around with. But let's get into the meat of the video with the Cavs making some more moves in free agency. We're going to start by analyzing Jerome, who signed a 2-year, $5 million deal with the Cavs. At least that's the contract that's being reported. Last season, he played with the Golden State Warriors. He averaged about 18 minutes per game, about 7 points and 3 assists per game. He also shot 39% from the three-point line, 49% overall, and 93%, rounded up a little bit, from the free throw line. So while he wasn't featured all that prominently in the Warriors lineup, he did have a really good game against the Cavaliers when the Warriors played them, and it was, I think, the second half of a back-to-back, and it was with travel for Golden State. So I'm pretty sure both Splash Brothers and Draymond Green all sat out that game against the Cavs. And Jerome, amongst other players, really stepped up for the Warriors. And it was kind of one of the more disappointing games as a Cavs fan, but it did show the upside that Jerome could have if given a bigger opportunity. And honestly, I don't feel like he's going to get maybe a ton more minutes on the Cavs bench, but he is a solid guy who can fill in for what the Cavs might have lost out on with Cedi Osman. And he's, Jerome is 6'5", so he can play shooting guard. You can slide him out to the 3 position if you really wanted to. Versatile player with a shot that definitely is needed on the bench, especially with even though Cedi Osman might not have always played the greatest, the idea of what Cedi Osman could bring is brought in again with Jerome. The Cavs also got Damian Jones, acquired via a trade with the Jazz, although the Cavs gave up essentially nothing. What I heard was what I saw on Twitter essentially was the league minimum $110,000 was sent to the Utah Jazz in order to acquire him. So for a professional sports team, that's essentially like finding a nickel in between the couch cushions and trading it for a backup center. The Jazz probably do have some bigger plans for his $2.6 million cap hit. They increased the amount of cap space that the Jazz still have. So while the Jazz might have been willing to give him up for not a whole lot, the Cavs will definitely take it. He is in the final year of his current contract. Last season, Damian Jones spent time with both the Lakers and the Jazz. Started the season in LA, only getting 8 minutes per game there. Really wasn't much of an impact on the Lakers roster, but he did get a much more prominent role with Utah and the Jazz, which would make sense for where both of those organizations are at. And with the Jazz, he got 16 minutes per game, averaged about 4.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, although he did have some very interesting shooting numbers. 71.4% from beyond the three-point arc. I believe it was 10 for 14, so great for him. That was the exact same percentage as his field goal percentage overall, so he shot 71.4% both from beyond and inside the three-point arc, and 76% overall from the free throw line. So he's not like he can't shoot from the free throw line as well. Pretty decent there. So a backup center who can shoot from range, I'll definitely take it. This means no more Robin Lopez, who is probably going to leave the Cavs in free agency anyway. He has signed a deal with the Milwaukee Bucks, and he'll now play with his brother Brook Lopez. And so I will miss Robin Lopez's kind of funnier antics where, some of the talking on the bench and just the way he behaves and carries himself does seem, pretty humorous, and he does seem like a pretty good guy. However, I will not miss Robin Lopez, the basketball player. It was usually a black hole of production. That was his minutes on the court. So hopefully the Damian Jones will work out a little bit better, and you figure it will, since again Robin Lopez it's not really a high bar to clear for a backup center, and if he can be a shooting threat, that's just another plus in there as well. So Koby Altman and the Cavs front office, they are really attacking the depth. It was very clear that the Cavs bench was not up to snuff, not only in that 5-game monstrosity of a playoff series against the Knicks, but also just in general throughout the regular season. It did seem like Cavs fans were noticing as the season went on more and more that this bench wasn't really among the premium benches, and if you want to make a deep run in the postseason, you're going to have guys in your depth that can really step up. And most of the acquisitions that have the bench in mind are also pretty good shooting threats. Jerome and Damian Jones that we mentioned. Now, Damian Jones doesn't take too many three-pointers as a center, but he can take them, and he will make a decent amount of them. At least that's what he's shown throughout his career. You also have Georges Niang, who is a shooting threat, and they did keep around Karis LeVert. Now I do have to mention that something that I might have misspoke on in an earlier video when the Cavs acquired Max Strus in the sign-in trade with Miami. I did mention how Max Strus might fill out the bench, and then someone in the comment section pointed out that, you know, Okoro probably isn't starting. It's probably Max Strus taking over that role. And after I got over my 30-minute fit of rage at the thought of anyone questioning my words and intellect, I thought about it, and yeah, they're probably right. Max Strus probably does take over that starting spot from Isaac Okoro, but, you know, for all intents and purposes, the bench is much more of a threat for shooting, and they have options to space opposing defenses out a little bit more, which I think is going to play pretty well in today's NBA, and hopefully the moves that the Cavs are making, while it's not going to make a completely new and different beast for what the Cavs are, it will shore up a lot of their roster. And I do think that, you know, with the cap space that the Cavs had to work with, it wasn't really a lot, but they've been able to do a lot with that little cap space that they do have. That's going to do it for this video. I just want to catch everyone up on what the Cavs have been doing with some of the free agent acquisitions. Let me know down in the comments what you think of them, if you agree with what the Cavs are doing, or you think this is going to be a lot of moves for ultimately very little to no change. I mean, they're kind of meaningless, but I'm honestly pretty optimistic about what this Cavs team has been doing with their bench. I think with more shooting threats, they'll be able to, you know, they weren't a great three-point shooting team. It seemed like if the Cavs were struggling, it's because their shooters weren't getting it done. So cycle some out, get some new ones in. Hopefully they can find a little bit more consistency in their bench unit. Hopefully Karis LeVert can get some more open space with some of these new acquisitions, and things can work out like that. But thank you all for watching this video. If you made it this far into it, I will see you at the next one.